Hello, hello, everyone. This is our NEBA meeting for Tuesday morning, and I am honored to have our love coach present to us this morning, and really can't wait to hear what she has to say. Judith Jameson, take it away.
Hey, thank you so much, Jeannie. It's Judith Jameson here, your international, I'm going to say that, love coach. I work with men and women in the 3 areas of love. I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. But basically, this is what I am. I'm a divorce coach, I'm a marriage repair coach, and I'm a dating coach. And this is my information. It's so easy now to remember my website because I finally got .com. So I'm judithjameson.com. Doesn't get more unique than that. You know, who doesn't love a website that's like 55 syllables, right? I'm like, no, I'm just using my name. So this is it. And this is what I like because people they always remember my name. So when at least when they give a shot at trying to find the website, they usually get it. And then my email is jjlovecoach because, hey, that's who I am. And the main thing that I do is at the bottom, I provide hope and stability one step at a time. Slow and steady wins the race with any area of what I do. Nothing can be rushed unless it's a restraining order. That's an exception. But everything else, not a rush. Today, I'm going to talk about myself, my background. I'm talking about divorces today, not about the dating and not about the marriage repair. I wanted to just focus on this. And this is a presentation that I give every week to different organizations all the time. And I run divorce information workshops several times that are free, several times a month. So I'll be talking about my background, the divorce process, divorce coping strategies, how to take care of yourself, how to help your children, and some object lessons. All right, so my background is very unique. I'm not just a life coach with many life coaching certifications that are all in marriage, counseling and whatnot. I'm a paralegal. I was a paralegal for almost 10 years in Boston. Many life coaching certifications. I'm not a therapist, but I do have a counseling degree and background. I'm not licensed so that I can work as a coach. If I were licensed, there would be some gray areas that would not be okay for me. So, for example, there are many restrictions with a therapist. They can never see their client again outside of their work environment. They cannot see a client outside the office. That's kind of the anti-Judith model. That's why I do what I do. I see my clients at home. I see them in a courtroom. I see them in a police department. I see them by Zoom like this, but we meet in person quite often, even if they're in North Carolina and I'm in Boston. I lead free divorce support groups. I'm leading one right now on Monday nights. I'm a workshop presenter on divorce. That's what this is right here. This is my presentation. I have a podcast every Tuesday, and it's all about makeup or breakup is basically the name of it. It's about how to find love, how to get back into love, or how to leave your love. Hey, here's my favorite tip. Something not everybody knows is I survived 2 of my own divorces. Yay. That makes me have special extra badges. And 3rd time's a charm, although I don't recommend it for everybody. If you have me after the 1st divorce, you don't have to have a 3rd divorce. But I am remarried. It's the final resting stop, so to speak. Divorce. The key points that I'm getting across to people is it is your new norm. You can't process what's going on and keep everything straight and keep your notebook, which I require of my clients, unless you get to the point where you can accept the fact that whether you reconcile or not, right now you're in, we're talking about divorce, you're separated, and this is your life. And the sooner people can accept that and not necessarily love it or feel comfortable with it, but the more that they accept that this is happening, the better client they are for me when I'm a divorce coach with them, and also the better outcome they will have, because you've got to get a hold of your emotions and everything that's going on. I have this expression where I say, when the vows break. I'm not having my clients try to get back with their soon-to-be ex in a really happy way, like going to have dinner with them or having Christmas with them. You just have to be civilized. camp civility if there are kids involved. Otherwise, you could just go your separate ways. An object lesson that I talk about quite often is people will often compare divorce to a death, and that's absolutely not true. In my next presentation, I'll be talking about the difference, all the differences with that. But in death, someone typically leaves because they were hit by a bus because they crossed the road and didn't look both ways, or they got sick, or they turned 90 years old and they had, their last breath. Divorce is not like that. Divorce, somebody in that coupling said, I don't like you anymore. I don't want to be with you. It's a completely different rejection. Death isn't usually a rejection of you personally, but divorce is. And so that's why it's such a difficult area of life when this hits. I talk about an emotional roller coaster. You'll see that in a minute. There are lots of different emotions that are going on. And when people are working with me, they have Nanny 911. It's JJ 911. People can call me all times of the day, because if they're having a difficult day and they can't sleep at 2 a.m. because they're thinking about their finances, they can't call their mom. They can't call their best friend, because your friends all say, call me if you need me, but they don't really mean it. They don't really want you to call them at 2 a.m. But that's what I do for my clients. Also, the reason why divorce is not like a death is because you have all these different things like housing and money and single parenting. When my grandmother died, I didn't worry about my house being lost. When my grandmother died, I didn't lose my 401k, right? But when I got a divorce, I lost half of my 401k. This is just a brief version of the different types of emotions that people are going through, which is why people who are working with someone going through a divorce, they can't stand it. I mean, there's nothing worse than being a coworker with someone that's got some of this going on in your weekly staff meetings, right? But it's very hard to control that. The main thing is what I'm working on with my clients is I'm getting them out of that denial. The normal thing here that's going on is you're getting a divorce. Unless you reconcile at some point, we don't know. But at this point, you need to get out of the river denial, because you can't process these emotions if that denial is in the center. These are some of the coping skills that I talk about. You need a good support team. You need me. I organize my clients with different notebooks. I talk about how to communicate with your spouse. The law does not say that you have to answer your soon-to-be ex-husband or ex-wife's phone calls, and the law doesn't say you have to reply to a text. So I teach my clients that. Part of what I do is I take over the wheel with that. So Mr. and Mrs. Wonderful, they have to write to me and not my client, because the law doesn't say that it has to be directly to my client. So all the nonsense goes away, because someone that doesn't really know me doesn't really want to write a bunch of crapola. They kind of rein it in. Then I talk about abuse. When I'm running these, I'm highly trained in domestic violence and abuse, how to spot it, how to address it, and how to get people help. So I have resources all over the United States and Canada for domestic abuse. I work with police departments all up and down the New England, in the New England area, and somewhat down the Eastern Seaboard. It's very important to get my head around the fact that someone may be in a domestic abuse situation. So I do take them down a process of figuring out, is there abuse and how can I address it and get the help that they need? Other coping skills is like the oxygen mask. My clients have to learn to take care of themselves first. I make sure that my clients are taking a yoga class, that they're journaling. I make sure that they have 1 or 2 positive friends that they're hanging out with. This is not the time to hang out with other divorcing friends. This is the time to have people that are positive and are going to lift you up. Some of the holistic things is I'm very conscientious of the health aspects, so that people are eating healthy and drinking healthy. And this is the one they hate: reduce or eliminate your caffeine, because trust me, when you're going through a divorce, you are like on a natural adrenaline, all day long. And I teach them breathing methods. Helping children. When my clients have children, I teach them how to talk to their kids, what to say, what not to say. My favorite thing is getting a client after they told their kids about everything. So that damage has to be repaired. And then I talk about danger signs when a child is not coping. So the kid that's really quiet is the one I'm concerned about. The one that's acting out and, being a pain in the butt, that's normal. I'm not worried about that. Healing is a choice. My clients need to get from bitter and angry to better. They need to feel it. So we go through a lot of processes where they are feeling it. And I tell them, look, you can't go back, but you can start now with a new beginning of a new life. And that's what I'm trying to impose. I'm trying to get that across to them and work on those things. I get them into new things while we're going through the divorce, and it's a choice. And then this is an object lesson. If you were looking at a long line and there was a tiny dot right here from my pen, that's your divorce. The rest of it is the rest of your life, and it doesn't define you. So afterward, you don't tell people, I'm a divorced mom, I'm a single mom. No, you tell them, right? I'm a podcast professional. I'm a marketing professional, right? I'm a grocery store manager. I'm a barista. You never even use the D word afterward. It's not necessary. And what makes me different is my paralegal and counseling background, also having been through divorces, also having been through domestic abuse with my mom. She was in a very abusive marriage. And then the other thing is I take my clients to court. So I'm often flying to North Carolina or Texas, because that's where I seem to get a lot of clients, to take them to court. Don't take your mom to court. Don't take your best friend. They don't deserve that. Nobody wants to go be traumatized in the court like you're going to be. So when I'm there, I keep my clients calm. I take them to the bathroom. I don't go in the men's room. And I make sure that they have lunch with me. And I also pick them up. So if they're in New England and they're in New York and they're 5 hours away, I go there the night before. And then in the morning, I pick them up and I drive them to the courthouse, because people have accidents on the way to the courthouse because they're so stressed out. And then they don't know where the best parking lot is because they're so stressed out. And then they can't find the right courtroom. So they're sitting in courtroom A and they're supposed to be in courtroom B. So these are the things that I do. And I also help them pick their attorneys, because attorneys are like surgeons. You got to find the right one, and you have to interview 3 or 4. Do not use the one that, Electra recommended, because just that one is not enough. You need 2 more. You can use Electras if you want, but you need to have 3 or 4 consults. So that's what I do. And I go to the consults and I help them choose who's the right attorney. So that's what I do. Judith Jameson, love coach. And I'm talking about the fun stuff today, but that's all about me.
Wow, Judith, way to go, as Greg would say. Good job. So amazing that we had to hear from you today. Thank you for the amazing pointers.